If someone would have told me 5 years ago that I would be actively pursuing a career in agriculture, I would most likely laugh and follow up with the question, what makes you think I want to be a farmer? Fast forward to today, and I stand before you as a graduate student, minority advocate, and innovator within the very same industry I once initially rejected. I guess you could call me an accidental agriculturalist. Whether we choose to admit it, agriculture impacts every aspect of our daily lives. Without the first seed that sprouted the multi-dynamic agricultural industry of today, what would the world look like? Hello, my name is Kayla Braggs, a Spring 22 graduate of the illustrious Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, where I received my degree summa cum laude in food science and a minor in agribusiness. I am now a first-year master's student in the Department of Agricultural, Food, and Resource Economics at Michigan State University. I guess you could say green is one of my signature colors. Today, I'm going to be talking about something that has some common misconceptions, and that, my friends, is the agricultural industry. Not only is agriculture one of the fastest growing sectors of the world economy, but I have personally seen how the possibilities for unique and rewarding opportunities are endless. This means that students at 1890 land-grant institutions like Florida A&M are the key for major agricultural companies to tap into the career potential of minority populations. After the Civil War, the United States enacted the Second Morrill Act of 1890, which allocated funds to 19 southern states to establish institutions for African Americans to be educated in the agricultural and mechanical arts. This act laid the foundation for 19 historically black colleges and universities, also known as HBCUs. Some of these HBCUs included the Tuskegee Institute, now known as Tuskegee University, the Agricultural and Mechanical College for the Colored Race, now known as North Carolina A&T State University, and the State Normal College for Colored Students. Some of us affectionately know it as the highest of seven hills, Florida A&M University. Now, growing up, I guess you could say I was a little bit of a nerd. I sat in the front of every class. I always placed in the school science and social studies fair, and report card day, that was my favorite. A's straight down the paper. So when I decided to come to college and not become a physician in a race to pick a new major, I stumbled across Florida A&M University's food science program. Not only was it the perfect blend of STEM classes, but it also included business courses, the best of both worlds. It was on Florida A&M University's campus that I met Dr. Varian Thomas. And if anyone has ever met Dr. Thomas, if it was one thing for sure and three things for certain, Dr. Thomas was going to have you looking sharp, your resume was going to be in check, and she was going to push you to be the absolute best version of yourself, even if you didn't see it. The one rule she stuck with, you had to join manners. And no, I'm not talking about etiquette classes. I'm talking about minorities in agriculture, natural resources, and related sciences, the premier organization for people who look like me to gain academic, personal, and professional development opportunities in the agricultural industry. I remember my first Manners Conference. It was in Overland Park, Kansas, just outside of Kansas City. The only place where you can sneak away to cross state lines and get some of the best barbecue you've ever had in your life, from inside a gas station. In order to attend the conference, you had to compete in one of the student competitions. And I have to admit, I just wanted to get off campus for a little bit, miss a class or two, and go on a free trip. I was a freshman, what can I say? So my strategy was to pick the easiest competition they had, the public speaking contest, which was perfect because I had just taken a public speaking class in my fall semester. So I submitted my speech and I qualified to compete at nationals. So the good news was I got my wish and could attend the conference. The bad news was Dr. Thomas wanted me to memorize a 10-minute speech, kind of like what I'm doing right now. She said, Kayla, if you want to win, you need to ditch the cards. So I ditched the cards, and I won. That conference showed me that what I thought I knew about agriculture was barely scratching the surface for what the industry had to offer. I mean, have you ever really sat and thought about how the cotton in your jeans, the eggs you ate for breakfast, even the timber for this building are connected. They all have something to do with agriculture. Webster's dictionary defines impact as having a direct effect or lasting change on someone or something. Agriculture impacts every aspect of our daily lives, whether we choose to admit it or not, and until people want to learn how to survive off of air and sunlight, I'll always have a job. And I know what you're thinking. Aren't you just going to be a farmer if you work in agriculture? And trust me, I asked myself the very same question when I decided to come to college to study ag. When in actuality, to my surprise, only about 2% of jobs in agriculture work directly on farms. While USDA 1890 land-grant institutions continue to produce high-performing students ready to enter the agricultural sector, it is still challenging to reach minority populations on the opportunities that lie within agriculture due to the negative perception associated with the industry. According to a census done by the USDA, only about 1.34% of agriculture professionals are African American, which is a shame because this industry is here to stay. According to the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, by the year 2050, the world population will be around 9 billion people, opening the door for new ways of attaining food, water, and other resources to sustain the population. This means that students at 1890 land-grant institutions like Florida A&M are the key for major agricultural companies to tap into the career potential of minority populations. We are the new normal, or what I like to say when I was a student here at FAMU, we put the A in A&M. Students also have the opportunity to take advantage of scholarship opportunities. Because of agriculture, I not only received the USDA 1890 scholarship, which paid for my bachelor's degree, I'm also now in a fully funded master's program. I guess you could say I saved my parents $1 or $2. I've also been able to hone in my leadership skills as a national student officer with manners. I've served as the Region 2 undergraduate vice president, the national undergraduate student president, and currently serving as a past undergraduate student president. This has allowed me to travel across the country, representing the organization to students, sponsors, and national partners. It's crazy to think that senior vice presidents and C-suite level people know my name. And yes, I've had my fangirl moment or two. Now that I've given you some food for thought, I'll let the numbers speak for themselves. Cargill Meat Solutions, one of the top poultry producers in the United States, makes sure that FAMU has enough fried chicken for Fried Chicken Wednesday every week. 40% of the world's population works in agriculture, making it the single largest employer around the globe. And because of the large-scale population increase by 2050 to over 9 billion people, this means that world farmers will need to produce about 70% more food than what is currently being grown. Whether you live in the heartland of the United States or a bustling metropolitan city around the world, spend your days packaging food for a Fortune 500 company or using biomedical research to find a cure for cancer. Agriculture is changing faster than your daily news feed. We cannot ignore that the industry has a history of dark discrimination by discriminating against people who look like me. The agricultural industry has tainted the African American community's perception of agriculture due to the turmoil left by slavery. The soil of innovation has been tilled in the shadow of hate, but we now have a chance to grow in the sunlight of progress. Because at the end of the day, this industry isn't going anywhere. We're going to have to feed more people on less land, using less water, and our resources are stretched extremely thin. Today, I leave you with this. They say not all heroes wear capes. Well, by that standard, not everyone in agriculture rides a tractor. As agriculture professionals, the decisions that we make are not just for today or tomorrow, but for years to come. It is now more imperative that we take part in the decisions that not just impact me or you, but our children, their children, and future generations to come. That same seed that was planted in me by my mentor, Dr. Thomas, and the others I've gained over the years, sprouted the student, leader, advocate, and visionary you see today. We are sowing the fields of progress, one seed at a time. So, just give me a few years. I'll have doctor in front of my name and Secretary of Agriculture behind it. I might be the first African American Secretary of Agriculture that is a female, but I don't want to be the last. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.